Yeah, I think Holly Black's favorite trope is a cuckold. Sorry, here we go. Okay. Hey guys, it's Captain Bookling and welcome to my channel. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's never going to be a better time to start doing this. Trying to retain some sliver of sanity, or maybe talking to myself in front of a camera is not the best way to do that, but I digress. We're doing this anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is gonna be pretty chill, hopefully. Today I'm just gonna talk to you about a book that I recently read, and that book is The Wicked King by Holly Black. Before I start reviewing this book, you've been on BookTube, you know what this book is. It's the sequel to Holly Black's The Cruel Prince, which is the first book of... is it The Folk of Air? But anyway, doesn't matter. But this is the sequel to that book, The Cruel Prince. Yeah, I was actually pretty sure I was gonna hate it. The premise wasn't very interesting to me. I'd recently read The Throne of Glass, so fairies. That being said, I went into it with very low expectation and went out of it as card and trash. And so I ordered the second book, which is The Wicked King, and I proceeded not to read it for almost a year. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's been almost a year since I read The Cruel Prince, so I just finally picked up this book and I read it, so I'm going to talk about it today. So where do we start? So we start the book at a revel. This is actually about 5 months or so after the events of The Cruel Prince transpired. Jude is there and she is now the spy master after what happened at the end of the first book. Basically what's going on is there's, like I said, a revel going on and Cardan's on the throne, just being Cardan in general. Yeah, and then there's this scene with Mother Marrow. It doesn't really matter. And then we find out also that Cardan's older brother, Balekin, I don't care if his name is actually Balekin, I'm just gonna call him Balekin. But basically, Balekin senpai is trying to send Cardan a message. Yeah, and so Jude thinks it's a good idea to go to the Tower of Forgetting to talk to Balekin, where he is currently imprisoned. Shit happens, and she brings back this Volsibur guy who slapped her at Balekin's behest, which I don't really know. Anyway, but Jude outsmarts Volsibur, and she brings her back to the Court of Shadows, where they're interrogating him, and they employ Volsibur to be an informant for them. And Jude goes back to the palace to find Taryn, her twin sister, at her doorstep waiting for her, who is actually not speaking to Jude since Locke decided that it would be an amusing idea to make Taryn a cuckold. What happens is they go in and they make up, which, well, I don't really like Taryn, so I don't really care. And then they have another revel that is being held at the forest, and Locke is, by the way, our event coordinator now, for some reason. Oh my fucking god. Okay, how do I even begin to explain this scene? So basically, Cardan actually tells Jude to go back into the palace, and Jude, of course being the YA protagonist, female who is an independent woman, obviously doesn't go back in. Mind you, I actually have to say this, I didn't actually think Jude was being at all insensible in this one. I can't say the same thing about The Cruel Prince, but in this one, I actually didn't mind Jude at all. I didn't hate Jude in The Cruel Prince. I was actually kind of surprised that I found her to be tolerable, but I can't say that I can disagree with like almost any of her choices in this book. This scene actually strikes me as the one scene where I would actually not do what she's doing in the book, which is, like I said, stay, despite Cardan's warnings. At least we got a great scene out of it. And so Locke decides to embarrass Jude by declaring her the Queen of Mirth, which is actually something they do to embarrass mortals. Then again, the mortals aren't usually aware of it, and they just make fun of them, and make them do all kinds of stupid things, like dance. Oh, also, Jude stands in front of Carden in her undies, which is totally no big deal. Locke asks Carden what Carden thinks of Jude. Actually, let me just read the scene to you. Carden steps close to me, his gaze devouring. I am not sure I can bear his cutting me down again. Luckily, he seems at a loss for words. I hate you, I whisper before he can speak. He tilts my face to his. Say it again, he says, as the imps comb my hair and place the ugly, stinking crown on my head. His voice is low. The words are for me alone. Tell us what you think of Our Lady, Locke asks Carden loudly with a strange smile. The High King's expression stiffens, only to smooth out a moment later when he turns toward the court. I have too often been troubled by dreams of Jude, he says, voice carrying. Her face features prominently in my most frequent nightmare. But I believe it is only that her beauty is unique. Carden pauses for more laughter from the crowd, created jeering. Excruciating. Alarming. Distressing. Oh my fucking god. Is that better? Yeah, I feel like it is. Anyway, so Jude actually manages to turn the situation around by embracing being the Queen of Mirth. And they dance, and it's very sexy, and everybody's swooning. Yeah, but the Undersea, of course, has to cockblock us, and they just show up and bring us a new plot. They just sort of threaten Carden and say that, you know, we gotta marry you with our princess, which is actually Carden's ex. So you make of that what you make of that. Oh, also, Nicasia actually shoots someone. The bitch has her priorities. She sneaks into his room to kind of surprise him or whatever. She is not happy with what she finds in that room. He goes ahead and does the sensible thing and shoots the girl, which I kind of have to give it to her, is kind of savage. And they summon Jude, of course, to take care of the situation, and she figures out that it's Nicasia, and they talk. They have like this girly heart-to-heart. Jude blackmails Nicasia pretty much and promises her that she's not going to say anything in exchange for information, basically, from Nicasia. Anyway, so Jude takes Carden back to her room, and he's so sexy it's ridiculous. Oh, also, there was this weird woman at the Tower of Forgetting who told Jude that someone she trusted is betraying her. The bomb actually tells Jude who that woman was in the Tower of Forgetting, and get this, it's Carden's mother. By the way, Locke and Taryn's wedding is approaching, so the Roach, which is one of the spies in the Court of Shadows, and they go back to the human world to pick up Vivi, Heather, and Oak. Yeah, I'm just gonna read that scene out loud to you because I don't think I can accurately capture the hilarity of that scene. For context, they go back to the human world, and Jude finds out that Vivi actually didn't tell her girlfriend Heather that she is a fairy. So, I say, looking at Vivi. Vivi smiles, reaching out her hand toward me. I take the ragwort stalks out of my pocket and hand them over. I can't look at Heather's face. I turn back to Oak. He's picking 4-leaf clovers from the grass, finding them effortlessly, making a bouquet. What are you doing? Heather asks, puzzled. We're not going to take a car. We're going to fly instead, says Vivi. We're going to the airport? Vivi laughs. You'll love this. Steed, horizon bear us where I command. A choked gasp behind me. Then Heather screams. I turn despite myself. The ragwort steeds are there in front of the apartment complex. Starved-looking yellow ponies with lacy manes and emerald eyes, like seahorses on land. Weeds come to snorting, snuffling life, and Heather hands over her mouth. Surprise, says Vivi, continuing to behave as though this is a small thing. Oak, clearly anticipating this moment, chooses to rip off his own glamour, revealing his horns. See, Heather, he says, we're magic. Are you surprised? Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. Oh boy. There's also a scene somewhere where Jude convinces Carden to go seduce Nicasia. Yeah, I think Holly Black's favorite trope is a cuckold. let's get to the important part, shall we? What I can tell you about the scene is that I don't think you need to read this book. Just go and read this scene. It's on page 144 in this paperback copy of mine. But I think I'm going to save you some money, and yeah, I'm just going to read it out loud to you so that you don't have to actually purchase the book. So this is Jude speaking. You go to Nicasia and charm her. His eyebrows go up. Oh, come on, I say, the plan coming together in my mind as I'm speaking. A plan that I hate as surely as I know it will be effective. You're practically draped in courtiers every time I see you. I'm the king, he says. They've been draped over you for longer than that. I am frustrated having to explain this. Surely he's aware of the response of the folk to him. He makes an impatient gesture. You mean back when I was merely the prince? Use your wiles, I say, exasperated and embarrassed. I'm sure you've got some. She wants you. It shouldn't be difficult. His eyebrows, if anything, climb higher. You're seriously suggesting I do this? I take a breath, realizing that I'm going to have to convince him that it will work, and that I know something that might. Nicasia's the one who came through the passageway and shot that girl you were kissing, I say. You mean she tried to kill me? He asks. Honestly, Jude, how many secrets are you keeping? I think of his mother again and bite my tongue. Too many. She was shooting at the girl, not you. She found you in bed with someone, got jealous and shot twice. Unfortunately for you, but for everyone else, blah blah blah. Anyway, who cares? Then they talk. You just think I ought to, that I can, that I'd be good at it. Very well, Jude. Tell me how it's done. Do you think she'd like it if I came to her like this? If I looked deeply into her eyes? My whole body is alert, alive with sick desire, embarrassing in its intensity. He knows. I know he knows. Probably, I say, my voice coming out a little shakily. Whatever it is you usually do. Oh, come on now, he says, his voice full of barely controlled fury. If you want me to play the bawd, at least give me the benefit of your advice. His beringed fingers traced over my cheek, traced the line of my lip and down my throat. I feel dizzy and overwhelmed. Should I touch her like this? He asks, lashes lowered. The shadows limn his face, casting his cheekbones into stark relief. I don't know, I say, but my voice betrays me. It's all wrong, high and breathless. He presses his mouth to my ear, kissing me there. His hands skim over my shoulders, making me shiver. And then like this? Is this how I ought to seduce her? I can feel his mouth shape the light words against my skin. Do you think it will work? I dig my fingernails into the meat of my palm to keep from moving against him. My whole body is trembling with tension. Yes. Then his mouth is against mine, and my lips part. I close my eyes against what I'm about to do. My fingers reach up to tangle in the black curls of his hair. He doesn't kiss me as though he's angry. His kiss is soft, yearning. Everything slows, goes liquid and hot. I can barely think. I've wanted this and feared it. Now it's happening. I don't know how I will ever want anything else. We stumble back to the low couch. He leans me against the cushions and I pull him down over me. His expression mirrors my own, surprise and a little horror. Tell me again what you said at the revel, he says, climbing over me, his body against mine. What? I can barely think. That you hate me, he says, his voice hoarse. Tell me that you hate me. I hate you, I said, the words coming out like a caress. I say it again, over and over. A litany, an enchantment, a ward against what I really feel. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. He kisses me harder. I hate you, I breathe into his mouth. I hate you so much that sometimes I can't think of anything else. At that, he makes a harsh, low sound. One of his hands slides over my stomach, tracing the shape of my skin. He kisses me again, and it's like falling off a cliff, like a mountain slide, building momentum with every touch until there's only crashing destruction ahead. I have never felt anything like this. He begins to unbutton my Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest to you, just to give you a little idea. Moving on. Honestly, the rest doesn't matter. But anyway. Jude now goes to Grimson, who is the forger who actually made the blood crown. And she gets some earrings for Taryn as a wedding gift. And on our way back, Locke has his bachelor party, and yeah, this bachelor party is not like the bachelor parties you know. Instead of hiring a stripper, Locke decides to give Jude a little scare and hunt her down, and he shoots her with an arrow, which really is the bachelor party of your dreams. Oh, and Jude doesn't actually know that it's Locke at this point. She just sees people trying to hunt her down, then goes back to Maddox and pretty much hides her wounds. But Taryn discovers it, and she helps Jude bandage her wound. And then finally we come to Taryn's wedding, which is where Jude actually finds out who those masked knights were that hunted her. Obviously she doesn't make a big deal out of it because that's just your regular day in Fairy. There's this maze in the middle of which the wedding is actually to take place. Jude, being Jude, obviously just threatens the maze into showing her the right way. Yeah, before you know it, she finds out by getting kidnapped that Orla's threat wasn't actually to steal Oak. Anyway, she gets kidnapped into the Undersea, and they torture her. And they try to glamour her to try to kill Carden, and Jude actually acts like she's being glamored this entire time. What can I say? Jude's a smart bitch. And they torture her some more, and finally Carden makes a deal with Orla, who is the queen of the Undersea and Nick Cage's mother, to exchange Jude with the permission to attack Lord Royben's court. Jude, knowing what she knows, everything that she found out in the Undersea, tries to go warn Carden, because apparently Maddox actually banned her from seeing Carden. She is just supposed to #stay home. Jude knows that if she actually goes back to Maddox's house, that they're never gonna let her be out. So instead she goes to Balekin Senpai. Oh yeah, Balekin was actually in the Undersea too, and he was part of those plans. Yeah, and then they kissed or whatever, and it was very wet. So Jude goes to Balekin, pretending that she's still working for him. Then she goes to warn Carden. She actually manages to get to Carden and to warn him about the fact that they pretty much try to glamour her to kill Carden. And Carden's like, oh my god, but why aren't you killing me then? And she's like, oh yeah, your brother gave me powers or whatever. And then there's this little nice reunion in Carden's room where the roach is there and the bomb is there, and the ghost, being the traitor, obviously. Oh, yeah, he was actually the one that Carden's mother was warning Jude about. They get to the revel, right? And at first they can't find Carden. Then Carden comes in, and he's seemingly very drunk. Carden sings Big Titty Liddy. He comes to talk to Balekin and Jude, where Jude finally figures out that it was all a ploy, and she was being framed to seem as though she is actually poisoning Carden, because Carden is not drunk, he is poisoned, and that's why he's singing Big Titty Liddy. Finally revealing the fact that she can't be glamored, Jude manages to sneak her and Carden out of the ball, together for a second time, escaping a ball. Jude takes Carden to his room, and then they get a message from Balekin saying that if they bring him the crown, then he's actually going to give the antidote, which is supposed to heal Carden and prevent him from dying. Jude goes out, and then Jude tells Balekin Senpai that she needs to test the antidote, and instead of actually drinking the antidote, she spits it out. To spit or to swallow, that is the question. And she very casually murders Balekin. Again, just a regular day at Fairy. And she brings the antidote back to Carden. You'll never believe what happens next. Basically, they get married. I don't even know what to say to you about this. Am I happy about this? Yeah. So Orla decides that it would be a great wedding present to attack the kingdom. And I bet you want to know how they get out of that situation. But basically what happens is that Carden does some pretty cool magic shit, and then he goes, surprise! See, Jude, I'm magic! Yeah, it's almost like it's not a very good way to reveal something like that to your wife or girlfriend. Anyway, so it turns out Orla is actually kind of a pussy, so she backs out. And then Jude's new husband, Carden, decides to banish her from Fairy because she murdered Balekin, and that's her sentence. Okay, holy fuck. Before she can even talk to him, we're in the epilogue, and Jude is now in the human world once again, living with Vivi and Oak. And Heather's actually moved out because, who might have guessed it, Heather's actually kind of angry at Vivi for lying to her. Which, honestly, mood. Yeah, so that's basically what happens in The Wicked King by Holly Black. I gave this book 5 out of 5 tails. Like I said, I actually went into this book with pretty high expectations, and it still delivered. I feel like the writing in this one is a lot better than the first one. Maybe it didn't change, maybe I just got used to Holly Black's style, but I felt like the writing was a lot better. I think the writing was my biggest issue with the first book, and I did not give the first book 5 stars. I think it was 4. And I feel like everything I complained about in the first book was fixed in this one. Jude, I felt like, was in a lot better character. She was a lot more competent. You can see that even Maddox respects her. In this one, she just really deserves that badass narrative. She's a BAMF, to be honest. Which is something I just really enjoyed and appreciated about this book. Their relationship with Carden was a lot better. The whole book's a lot sexier, which was just enough reason to give it 5 stars. But yeah, folks, that was pretty much my review of The Wicked King by Holly Black, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!